Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittney if you're new here. Today I am trying to get a start on my winter sowing. It is frigid cold, so I'm inside of the store, but I didn't want to do this in the house because, as you'll see here in a little bit, I'm going to be burning some holes in plastic jugs, and I don't want those fumes in the house. Not only because we have a newborn, but just we don't want to breathe that in. So I'm out here in the shed. I've got the door for ventilation a little bit cracked and just trying to stay out of the wind. It is so cold, but if I don't start preparing for the garden now, I won't be ready when planting time arrives. So I'm gonna go ahead and start prepping all of these jugs. I probably won't get everything done today. Kyle is inside with Maggie and Miles and spending some one-on-one time with both of them while I get this done. And then I'm gonna head inside because Sunday is the only day of the week that Kyle doesn't work, and I would like to spend some time with him too. So I'm gonna work for a little bit and then head inside and enjoy them. But I wanted to show you kind of what I'm working on. It is February 16th, and we are expecting like over a foot of snow in a couple of days and like negative 15-degree actual temperature. I don't know what the wind chills will be. So this week is going to be extremely cold. I want to get this done so that I can be working on it in the house, filling these jugs with soil and getting my seeds started for the garden. So let me turn this around and show you what I'm working on. Okay, so ignore the mess. I haven't really cleaned up out here for the season yet, but I have asked a bunch of my family members, and then we've been saving them as well, but to save me any sort of clear or transparent jugs. We've got some 2 liters, milk jugs, juice containers, some vinegar and like oil containers, a bunch of milk jugs, and then like a ton of water jugs. So this is going to be quite the process for me, but what I'm going to basically be doing is using this wood burning toolkit to poke holes in the bottom and sides of these jugs. And then I probably won't get to the next step today. I'll show you that here in a couple of days. But I wanted to just go ahead and get a start on this, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like. So I also will use these produce containers for my winter sowing. But this particular one was a strawberry case, and so it already has plenty of holes in it. I don't need to do anything with that one. What I need to do is figure out where I want to put the ones that I'm done with. So I'll probably empty this. I'll need this later. All right, so I'm just gonna put this in one of these totes next to me because it's done. But another thing that I will use for my winter sowing is really just anything that is gonna act like a greenhouse for me. My son turned 5 this month, and so we had a big birthday party for him, which meant a lot of cupcakes. And instead of just throwing these away, I'm going to do winter sowing in them. There's 24 different cells, and so I can start 24 different things, or 24 of one thing, or you know, whatever, however you want to work it out. But I'll just have to poke some holes in the bottom and also in the top of these. So we'll get started on these first. So I've got my wood burning tool here, and the cord is not very long, so I don't know if this is really... I got my little sidekick back here. Murphy is never very far away from me, and I really enjoy having him around. Anyways, so I'm going to just poke some holes, and probably also some on the sides. And I don't know if you can see those, but I'm just poking a few holes. It's just for drainage, and so I'll just keep on doing that. Now, winter sowing is fairly new to me. Last year was the first year I ever did my seed starting using this method, and I love it. It is so hands-off. It is the easiest seed starting method I have ever used. And I also like that it's using recycled materials. I'm gonna open the door a little better, see if I can get some of this fumes to not be right in my face. That should be better. Okay, now that the door's open a little better, it's definitely pulling the fumes out the door, so that's better. I probably should be wearing a respirator. So if you're watching this and thinking you should probably wear something like a mask, you're probably right. But anyways, I was saying that winter sowing is the easiest seed starting method that I've ever used, and it is. I love that it uses the recycled materials. It is a little time consuming to poke all the holes and cut all the bottles and do the duct tape and things like that. But after that, it's literally set it and forget it. And I'd really like to get this, I'd like to get at least some of my seeds starting out here before this winter snap that we're about to have, because what it does is it cold stratifies your seeds. And there are some seeds that require that for germinating. And so I want to make sure I'm taking advantage of the weather that is headed our way. I've been kind of a Debbie Downer about this giant cold Arctic blast thing that's headed our way, but this is at least one positive part of it. And so I'm not going to bore you with watching me poke holes in all of these containers, because that's a massive amount of hole poking. That's probably not that enjoyable to watch. But I'm going to keep going at this, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like at the end. But this is kind of what we're looking like right now. Just a bunch of holes on the sides and on the bottom. And then of course on the lid, I will be poking some holes as well. And this is what will allow moisture in, and the holes on the bottom will allow for the drainage. And I'll show you what we do in the next step when I get there. So once you've got all the holes poked in your jars, you're going to want to take a utility knife and cut them, not all the way around so that you still have a little bit of a handle on like a hinge, but you're going to want to cut them and then put some soil in. I'm just using soil that I picked up at Costco, and it's just potting mix. You don't want to use seed starting soil because that doesn't have any nutrients, and these seeds are going to sit here in these jars for several weeks outside. So they will need nutrients. You'll want to use a good quality potting mix. And the reason that I cut the jar or the jugs where I cut them is so that there's about 2 to 3 inches of soil and at least 2 to 3 inches of open container space above the soil so that the plants can grow. Because during this winter sowing method, you will have actual seedlings growing in these containers. And I forgot to mention in the first part of this video yesterday when I was doing all of the holes that I learned this method from the Southern Daisy, I think is what her channel is called. I've watched a lot of her videos on winter sowing, and she is a wealth of knowledge on the topic. So if you're confused about something, go over to her channel and watch some of her tutorials on how she does it and why she does it. I'll link her channel in the description box below. But basically all I'm doing is filling all of these jugs with the potting mix. And it's kind of funny, in the background, my son and my husband are playing. I'm doing this during lunch break, and so you'll see me kind of looking off camera every now and then because they're playing in the other room. That's why I'm doing a voiceover at 4 o'clock in the morning when everyone is asleep, because I didn't want to ask them to have to be quiet so that I could talk for the video. So that's kind of how I end up getting things done around here with having everybody at home. I just make it work the best I can. But while I'm filling these jugs, I forgot to mention too, so the soil that I'm filling these jugs with, I put in this giant tote. And the reason I did that is so that I could get the soil moist. You do want the soil to be moist in these jugs, so that your seeds have some moisture to start the germination process. So I'm just taking some seeds in these milk jugs. I can put about 10, maybe 12 seeds, depending on the type of plant that you're putting in there. Some you may only want to put 8 to 10 seeds, but it's really just kind of an experiment. So I'm sprinkling those on, covering them up with just a little bit of soil, and then I'm taking duct tape and taping shut the jug. I didn't do the greatest job cutting this particular one, so it was kind of a pain to get it taped. It does help if you have an extra person, but you can do this by yourself. You're just going to want to wrap that duct tape all the way around the jug and make sure that where you cut that jug is sealed very well. These are obviously not airtight. You're leaving the lid off so that they can get oxygen and rainwater and snow and all of that. But you want that cut part to be sealed so that when you go to pick these up in the spring, your jugs don't fall apart and it's just a mess. So make sure you seal it pretty well with the duct tape. And I'm just going to go through, and I've picked out several flowers. I haven't done any of the vegetables or anything like that yet. I'm just mainly focused on my tea garden, my cut flower garden, and we're doing a new wildflower garden on our roadside ditch this year. So that's basically what I'm focusing on here. And so I'm just going to continue this process over and over again, filling the jugs with soil, sprinkling with seeds, covering up with just a little sprinkle of soil, taping my jugs shut, and then I'll show you what I do after this. I will be putting these jugs outside in an area where my dog won't be able to get to it, so he does not use his old dog kennel. And so I'm actually going to throw these jugs in his dog kennel and be able to shut the door and keep him out. But they're going to stay out all winter, all the way up until I'm ready to plant. They're going to get snowed on, rained on, and then when the sun starts coming out, these jugs are going to act like greenhouses. And these seedlings are going to grow and grow, and it's going to be great. And that's all I have for today's video, but I will bring you back when I do some more seed starting. I have a ton more to do, and I'll bring you back in the spring to show you what these seedlings look like. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.